Awesome. We did it.
Woohoo!
Ooh.
How long
Wasn't
am
as scary as I thought it was going to
be. Yeah, I didn't want to like over prepare. I like took some notes and then I was like, no, don't think about it.
Right? So did
Well,
I.
you went to talking about your notes and I was like, lack of notes, very on brand for me. And I was like, oh my God.
It's always funny. April doesn't do them really anymore, but when I first started working with her and Jason, it was so funny because she would send me like a Google Doc with notes of questions and excuse me, Jason would never look at them. And I was always kind of in the middle, like I'd bring them up on the screen while we're recording and I'd kind of glance over. We just stopped doing them because I'm like, April, you're putting in all this effort. No one's using them.
Yeah.
I just like to see where the conversation goes. I usually have questions in my head that I want to ask, but you just had a conversation. It's all good.
And I feel like the subject matter just really lends itself to really open conversations and really inquisitive questions. I experienced that on our pre-op group calls. Like, you know, for me, questions will pop up that, you know, I'm like, oh, I hadn't really thought of that, but it's all based off like something that someone else has said. And
yeah, it's fun.
I think if you're not open about it, like what's going to change, like what will sort of be different. I think that was like the nice experience of walking into the doctor's office and just like having such a super open conversation about your weight where you're not feeling judged about it or like scared, or you did bring it up and you're like, oh my God, what's going to be said? And it's not something like wild or dismissive or like, yeah, okay, maybe, you know, because I feel like if you can't, that's been the nice thing about like the pre-op group that we have, Nat, and like Laura's group, of just like everyone being super open, and like that's just a nice space to be able to feel comfortable sharing. And I feel like I've been then able to be more open and talking about like my weight with people around me. Like, and I think some people it makes them uncomfortable and some it doesn't. So it's just very like, but if it's not being talked about, there still continues to be that stigma, right? Or like that, like it's for the others, or it's not for me, or that idea. And for the most part, people that I've talked about it with, have been like, good for you, like go do it. And like they're like, what are the requirements? And I feel at this point I can be like blah 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 blah, you know, like, and just rattle them off. And I've talked about like how I also like really just tried to like seeking my own education and like found BariNation and some other supports along the way of like that this is a big part of it. And I'm happy that I found a big part of it, not for, you know, like not just for the education, but for the community. I think that's a huge part of this process. So I feel like I've been really lucky that about almost halfway through, like, you know, maybe like 60% of my like, you know, time from when I started on first appointment to like, or actually probably be about 50% of it will have been like connecting with people in BariNation. So that's been awesome.
I had a question about how people found BariNation. Because I'm trying to think back about how I kind of discovered it. So it definitely wasn't through my surgeon. You know, they do like a Facebook group, which I was like, I do not want that in my life.
Yep.
And yeah,
I was doing the support groups through my surgeon's like group, and while they're like very lovely people, it was all virtual. And while this is all virtual too, it's different, you know, who's available at 11 o'clock, you know, random, was just like a full silver sneakers kind of crowd. And like, I was just like struggling to connect. And it was kind of like they had clearly been together, and I felt like I couldn't even mesh in there, nor did like the things that we were gonna experience be the same, because we're just at different stages in our lives. So I'm like, I listen to podcasts about like everything else that I want to listen to. Like it occurred to me, like, why am I not? So I just like Googled bariatric podcasts, and like a couple came up, and I just started listening, and then listened to some old ones, I think even before BariNation got online, like, you know, online. And then I was like, what are they talking about? Like, you hear it and you skip forward, on like ads and stuff. And then I'm like, well, maybe I should just like see what's in there when they say they have all these groups. And that's how that's how I ended up doing the trial. And then I was like, oh, I'm in. Like, there's no question.
Yeah.
Awesome.
How did you find it, Lisa?
I think it was just like through kind of searching for communities, but
Mhm.
like I will say that it took a couple tries. Like I think I don't really now it's been over a year, so I'm like, wait, how did I do it? But I remember when like going through it and not seeing a ton, or at least nothing that was really like approachable. And then somehow landed on BariNation, don't remember, and then was like bookmarked it to like, because I was like tired. And I'm like, I'll look at it later. And then like I did, and I was like, oh, this is like actually a thing. This isn't just like a little group, like and I think that was the issue. Everything that came up was like Facebook based.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I didn't want that in my life. Just not a huge fan of those types of communities because I don't feel like it has enough positivity in it. And you get experts, self-proclaimed experts kind of in the comments that I was just like, I don't have the energy for that. And then so when I found BariNation, I was like, oh, okay, this is more of what I want. Like it's monitored, it is a positive community, it's coming at it from a very, positive place. And yeah.
Helina, what about you?
So while I was researching bariatric surgery and stuff, I wasn't really into TikTok too much. Like I liked the hair stuff on there a lot before, but then I found you, Natalie.
Ah,
I found you and I was like, oh, we'd totally be best friends in real life. And
I love that.
and I think you were only maybe a year or two into your thing, so I could scroll through the TikToks and see like your whole process of from your pre-op diet to when you went to Mexico and everything. And I was like, this is awesome. And seeing your whole story of, yeah, you've been through multiple surgeries and heck, I'm still gonna do this. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm trying not to cuss on here, but badass. She's a badass.
This is bonus material. It's what the people are paying for.
Freaking awesome.
Also, have you met April? She cusses all the
Oh,
time.
that's true. That's true. So I'd followed your journey, and then you had mentioned BariNation a little bit on Instagram too. I'm like, okay. Like Lisa said, I'll come back later to that. I'll bookmark that, come back later to it. And then I met another, and I'm trying to think what her Instagram handle is, most healthy something. But she's really sweet. She had promoted BariNation a few times too. And then when you guys had switched and want the platforms to Mighty, it was like the 2 week you can do it for free. I'm like, good, because I'm broke. I'm broke and I've been wanting to try this. And I did. I'm like, oh, why didn't I do this sooner? Everybody's so awesome.
Right.
Just as sassy and sarcastic as I am.
We have fun.
Yeah, it was so much fun. And I had found other groups too, but I was just like, oh, there's something different about this and I like it. And you guys are close to me because I'm in Oregon. Some of you guys are.
How are you all concentrated in the like Pacific Northwest? It is a bizarro thing. It's fascinating to me.
You know what is so funny? So when I started my journey back July of 2020, everyone was on the East Coast.
Oh, interesting.
Everyone I followed was New York, Philly, like Washington, like the whole DMV area. Like, no one was near me. And then I did the same thing as you guys, where I moved down to live with my parents because I was like, it's the middle of a pandemic.
Oh yeah.
Starting this pre-op journey. there's no way in hell I'm going to get through this pre-op diet, because it was a very strict 3-month long pre-op diet. It worked, but it was not fun.
Yeah.
And I just knew I wanted to be successful. So I went and moved down with my parents. I love my parents, but living with your parents is living with your parents.
I'm trying to get
Right.
out.
So I was like, I need something to preoccupy my time and energy in case I can't emotionally eat. So I need something else to like preoccupy me.
Yeah.
And I did the same thing as you guys. I went on Spotify and I just typed in bariatric podcast. And the first two that popped up were the Art Sleep Life girls, Helina, and East to West, which is now BariNation. And I remember just binging as much as I could every single day. I would tell my mom or my dad, don't talk to me, I'm listening to my friends. I was like,
I love that.
don't talk to me, I'm listening to my friends. And it was interesting to me. Of course, Jason is in Florida, but it was like, oh wait, there are people in the Pacific Northwest that have had like, because the girls are in Oregon. And I was like, wait, I thought it was like everyone that gets it is on the East Coast. Like, what is happening?
They're in Texas.
Right. Like, and then as I just started on like listening more and more, it's like all these people just came out of the woodwork. Like, I don't know, everyone just like rose up, and I was like, oh, okay, there's lots of people here, I guess.
Yes.
That was like one of the, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, it's okay.
I was just gonna say that was like the weirdest thing, because when I joined, because like I'm in Seattle.
Right.
Like I was just like, I'm sorry, what? It is bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where are you at again?
Me or Ashley?
Oh,
Helina?
I'm in New York. I'm in like the Hudson. I'm like halfway between Albany, if that does anything for you, and New York City. So like I can drive into like the city in like an hour 15 minutes.
Wow.
North of the city?
North, yep.
I know a little bit.
I was like, I assumed north, but I was like, my geography sucks. I could be real.
Oh, me too. I don't. You're up and over, and I'm up and over in the other direction.
Yeah.
When I went to Ohio last year, I was like so turned around. I had no because there's no mountains.
Yeah.
And I was, because for me, it's like mountains on one side, water on the other. I know where I am.
Yep.
It's not like that over there.
You can figure out north and south very easily.
I was like, I don't know where I am. Crazy.
Yeah, just funny. I say it to my husband all the time. I'm like, there's another person found online. Somehow they live over there in that pocket. It's bizarre.
You're like, whatever.
You should hook up with Christine Mason. You need to.
She's wonderful.
Yeah, if she's been in herbs, and yeah, it just depends on like getting into the city or if there's groups. And
yeah, I think she and Leslie might be looking into doing more up there. So
okay, yeah, I'm like, quick train ride away.
Keep your eyes peeled. I'm sure they're working on something. If not, I just volunteered them. Sorry.
You're like, oops.
Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much again. This was
Thank you.
I feel like that could have been like a 5-hour long episode.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, I could talk to y'all all day. You're fun.
Yeah. Got a good group of talkers. I like it.
Yes, for sure. But I appreciate you all. As April says, let's go forth and have an evening.
Yes.
And yes, this will be this coming Wednesday. Feel free to talk about it starting Monday that you're on the podcast. I'll get you guys over a graphic if you want to share it anywhere. I'll just email it to you. That's good.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you. This is really
Yeah,
great.
thank you.
Yeah. Thank
Have
you.
a good night.
Have a good night, guys.
Bye.